Cześć wszystkim. Witamy w Szepotnej Warszawie. Witamy w Polsce. Hej! Mam na imię Robert. Podczas mojej sesji będę mówić o kanałach prywatnych w Microsoft Teams. I ogromne podziękowania dla naszych organizatorów Edity, Tomasza i Marcina. Niestety nie mówię dobrze po polsku, and that's why I now switch back into English. So my English is much better, so don't judge me on the Polish, please. I'm just learning. But anyways, we now speak English and would like to share the content in English. So we are right on the right slide here. Thanks a lot to the organizers to work tireless to make this possible. And I can imagine how they thought about, okay, it's a 5th anniversary of SharePoint Saturday Warsaw. There must be something special. How special is this? It's a first ever online community event that we have. So very, very great job. Thanks a lot for making this possible and then meeting here now, virtually unite the community. This is really great. Also, big thank you to the sponsor for course. You know, community events need some invoices to be paid, and yeah, it wouldn't be possible without the sponsors. And they have great solutions, great services. So check them out on the website. There's also definitely something in it for you. And I would like to start with a KISS. No worries. KISS, keep it short, simple. So just 3 sections. So first of all, why are we here? So why is private channel such a big thing? And why are, for example, private chats are not sufficient? Then second, and this will be the main part, so really packed with a lot of content. So what is the architecture behind? And what governance features do we have? What controls do we have to stay on top of all of the things that's going on with private channels? And third, how we roll it out. And there we share a lot of information about different use cases. And this is the most important thing. You need a valid use case to use private channels properly and then shift your collaboration with Microsoft Teams to the next level. But first of all, some organizational things, administration things. You may know me as a gamify guy. So I would like to play a game, a little quiz with you. And of course, there are some prizes for you in the end. So please take out your mobile phone and just scan this QR code, which you can see right now. It should just work with your camera. Otherwise, just provide menti.com. And just do it here as well, so that we see it's working. If you go on menti.com, just provide the code 887902. And then just give yourself a name. And please give your full name or Twitter handle so that we can really identify at the winner at the end. First 3 places will win a prize then in the end. Okay, you will see this also on the next slides. So let's go ahead here now and really kick off the session with a little Lola, and we start about talking why private channels is such a big thing. So let's assume we are living in an ideal world. So we have this team here, just with a couple of colleagues and some managers. And of course, we want to collaborate, share files, have some chats, have our scheduled meetings and stuff like this. All great. We have Teams for that. Nothing else is needed. Unfortunately, we are not living in an ideal world. We are living in a real world. And therefore, there are some side effects. So let's see here, for example, we have some managers in this team. And these managers also would like to chat, share files, or have regular meetings to discuss about this team, for example. So what's the strategy of this team? So what are the case success indicators, or should we promote somebody of this team? So they talk about this team. Why should they go into another team to talk about this team? Doesn't make sense, but they need these controls. Oh, there's somebody not muted. Please check this. And even worse, sometimes in this team, there can be some sub-projects, for example. So let's say here, Emily and Miriam are working on the next Christmas party. I know it's just spring, but Christmas is just a few months away. And it should be for this team, but it should be a surprise. So therefore, they also don't want to share this, all the organizational stuff. But since it's for this team, they want to stay there. They need also these conversations or regular meetings. And therefore, they also need these features that we usually only know from Teams. Only from Teams? But Rob, we have chats, so we can use chats for this kind of information. Really? Let us have a look into these chats. So I opened here now my team, and I switch into chats. And I already had a little chat here with my demo assistant, Eddie. And we chatted a little, and you can see it's from left, right, left, right, left, right. So it's coming, really all the information come inside. And I don't really have the overview and the structure. Are we still talking about the same topic, or is this now a new topic already? What's going on? So we don't have this threaded conversation, so that everything is packed together into one subject. So therefore, we are easily lose focus here when we only use chats for this communication. However, of course, we could have conference calling here on the upper right side to jump on a call directly. We also can use this special formatting tools, for example, where we can make our letters bold or italic and so on. We can also upload some files. So let me upload here now a file from my computer. And I would like to send to Eddie now some popcorn. And this is now uploading. And now I sent this, and right now this file was uploaded to my OneDrive and shared with Eddie, and in this case also another guy is in our group chat, so they have now permission to access it. And what happens when now a new guy joins this conversation? Of course, on the upper right, I can say, hey, let's add some people. And in here, I can also say, yes, I would like to include the history. So what was discussed already. But the file sharing only happens at that point in time when I uploaded this file. So just a few seconds ago. Every guy I now invite to this chat as well won't have access to this file. So there's no persistent file sharing in chats. What you need to do, you need to go to your OneDrive, select the file, click on create a link, send this link, and nobody would do this. So therefore, this is kind of bothering, and therefore this, for this case, chats are not sufficient. And by the way, you can also not schedule meetings, and you can only have this ad hoc calls, but no scheduled meetings. But this is what management and also some other sub-projects as part of the team really need. All right, so that's for why are chats not sufficient. And now remember, take out your mobile phone, and now we go ahead and play the first game. $5,000 as well. Okay,
Robert,
yes.
Robert, yeah, Eddie is speaking. Your assistant, I have a question. Can you share again with us the QR codes? Because I assume that many of us had no chance to scan this QR code.
Sure. here on the right hand side, just scan the code or go to menti.com and type the code 887902. And even if you join now, and let's see what's happening with the first question, but the quicker you answer, the more points you get. So therefore, nothing is lost. Of course, you can still win. Okay. Now I need to continue to stay on time. Second question. So why are chats not sufficient? What is missing? Either rich text editor and PDF uploads, or threaded conversations and persistent file sharing is missing, or call and conference calling. So I'm not voting, but great, awesome. So as a summary, yes, we don't have the threaded conversations and persistent file sharing. This is what we don't have in chats. This is how it looks so far. Great. Basti is currently leading, but many things can happen. So let's go ahead with our presentation. So second module, what's behind and what is the architecture of a private channel? Let's start easy. This is now a standard channel. So we see the entire team and we see it's a security boundary. So this means if you're not member of the team, you're not member of the team. So you can't see what's going on inside. So you can't see channel 1 and channel 2, but I put some dotted lines around channel 1 and 2. This means it's a kind of community communication boundary. So kind of different topics you would like to discuss. This we will see that also later in one of these use cases where how we separate different channels. And this also then leads to this private channel, and the private channel has an additional security boundary. This means you only need to be invited to this private channel so that you can see this content. Otherwise, if you're just member of the team, you can't see the content of the private channel. But this makes also clear you first have to become member of the team, and then you can go can be invited into the private channel. So the private channel is always a subset of users of the entire belonging team. Clear. Now, when we collaborate on a private channel, these files that we usually upload and so on must go anywhere. Where is this going? To a site collection. Every private channel gets its own site collection. Awesome. So Microsoft takes care of this and create this automatically in the backend, which is great and which is needed really to keep the security boundary and not just having a folder, but still the same site collection. This is for e-discovery and compliance reasons. For that, we really need a separate site collection. And the separate site collection has a custom site collection template. This template is very close to the team site template, except for you can't create new pages, the new page library. This makes sense because the site collection should just be a storage of document, and you should not create fancy intranet pages or something like this with it. No, just keep it as a storage for the documents of a private channel. Okay. And what else do we see in the site collection? So I selected here an example private channel from my team. You can see down left from the team screenshot. We are now in the FlexRG team, the leadership private channel. And you see the title also reflect this, title of the team dash title of the private channel. And even more, even in the URL, you see this relationship team name dash and then private channel name. And if this is not sufficient for you, then very recently Microsoft introduced even this. So when you are in a private channel site collection, even there you see, oh yeah, please be aware this is a site collection belonging to a private channel. And you even have on the left-hand side a link to the parent belonging team. So very transparent and easy to understand. This is not a kind of an intranet site collection. No, it's just a storage for a private channel. This is about the files. What about now the conversation, so the threaded conversation? Usually you see here from the screenshot in a normal standard channel, the conversation just goes into the group mailbox of the entire team. This is not sufficient when we really want to have the security layer and put this really on a secure place. And therefore, the difference is here. It will be stored on each user's mailbox from each participant from this private channel. So if you're a member of a private channel, you get a replication of this conversation into your private mailbox. So from the architecture, similar like chats, but you see this like a threaded conversation in Teams. And this is an important thing. These conversations only live in Teams. Only Teams grant you access to see what was communicated. In this private channel. Stuff. Some additional information for the architecture behind. So you may have heard about e-discovery and retention policies. E-discovery means you can query a term or some users, and then the entire tenant will be searched for that. It's fully supported for all files on the site collection, but also for the conversations. Only make sure that you have at least one of these private channel members in your query, so that e-discovery query can go to their private mailbox and scan the conversation there. On the other side, the retention policies. So let's say you would like to make that after 3 years, so documents older than 3 years should be deleted automatically. If you have such default policy, it will also easily work for the files in a private channel. Not yet for the conversations, but this is coming. And all of this stuff you can, of course, manage with PowerShell. So last slide for the architecture. Sure, there are some limits because, Rob, when I get so many new site collections, I lose control about all this stuff. I know where I'm coming from. I was also at Microsoft working as a SharePoint PFE, and I was an infrastructure guy, and the most often heard question was, why is SharePoint so slow? Yeah, too many site collection, too big databases and all the stuff. This is now not our responsibility anymore. This goes to Microsoft. And when Microsoft makes this architecture, Microsoft has to take care that everything is fast and fluent. Our responsibility is now, hey, only check these real intranet site collections, only a few, and then how is Teams used? How do they adopt this? How productive are they with Teams? So this is now more our responsibility as IT admins. But still, the limit of site collections per tenant were increased to 2 million. So far, we have 30 private channels limit per team. If you really have 30 private channels in a team, I'm not sure if you're using the right use case, but anyways, more should come. And also we have 250 members per private channel so far. And also this, I would like to show you in a little demo. So now jumping back to my team here. And as you can see, the private channel is marked here with a lock on the side. You can, as an end user, when you have the permission, easily create a new channel. It's very similar to Teams, private or public Teams. Here you just select private channel, you give it a name, and then you can also invite other users to join the channel. This is great. When we go on files, for example, then also we have the link to open in SharePoint, and we will then see the regarding SharePoint site collection, which I just showed you on the screenshot. And where we can see this relationship of the team to the private channel. Important to know for these site collections. So if you have your tenant in Dublin, but also tenants in US and Singapore, for example, if the team is in Dublin and you create a private channel in this team, the site collection is in the same data center and the same geolocation. Also, if you use classification, so with unified labeling, for example, if you have labeled your team with a classification, it will also sync down to the regarding private channel site collection. This is also there. And third, for the permissions, only do this in Teams. So invite members and owners to the private channel only in Teams, and then they get instantly also the permissions to the files on the site collection. Because if you try to add these users on the site collection in the regarding groups, it will be overwritten from Teams because Teams will say, hey, this is not coming from me. I will delete this again. So therefore, please make sure that you only set the permissions from Teams. You could use custom permission levels if you want. So very easy to get there. Now listen, click on site contents. And in here, we need to go to the site settings. In there, there's no permissions. But at least I have the share button on the upper right. Okay, I can now share something, but I want to have customized sharing. So if I go to shared with, and then I go to advanced, and then finally I have my SharePoint 2010 user interface. And here I can see, this is now in German, the two owner and member groups. But also I would have a visitor group with just read permission. You can use this so that members in this group can then just read permission, or you can of course create really custom permission levels if you want to, and those will not be overwritten from Teams. But it's highly not recommended. So please just use the permission levels that you have in Teams and manage your permissions from there. All right, get ready for the next question in our little quiz. So as a summary for the architecture part, click on reload if you were disconnected. So where do files and conversations of a private channel live? SharePoint site collection, user mailbox, in OneDrive and Teams, on Yammer and Stream. Oh, guys, you are great. Perfect. So absolutely right. There we have them in the SharePoint site collection and as a replication to each user's mailbox. And Piotr is getting closer to the top. Awesome. Let's continue. And now with our presentation. So governance. I'm a big fan of governance. And this is actually the part why private channels became such an emotional topic, because people said, oh yeah, it should be so transparent and everybody should collaborate with each other. And now people can hide information from me. No, we don't want this. This is such a bad feature. We don't want this. No, we always stay in control. So therefore, really top down. As a global or Teams admin, you always can say, no, this is not a good feature for us, just switch it off. Then don't complain, then just switch it off. All good. You always have this right. Second, if you found a good use case for using private channels, there's no need to roll them out for everybody. Just assign them one by one. You can do this. Only a few people can get the right to create private channels. So if you have this, and for example, a team owner now has a right to create private channels, even the team owner can decide in their or his or her team if members of this team can also create private channels. So if I allow this as a team owner, then also the global admin must assign them the policy, and only then they can create private channels, not before. And even if they have the right to create private channels, but the owner said no, not for the members, then they also can't. So there's a lot of control that we have here. But if we granted this permission, then of course a team member can create a private channel and is then the owner of this private channel to manage members or change the description or whatever. So really top down, and the higher we are from the role, the more control do we have. I want to emphasize this even more with two tables here. Table 1, what can we see in the regarding role? And as a global and Teams admin, I can see anything except for the content of a private channel. It makes sense because it should be private, but there is an asterisk on it. Limitations may apply. I come to this on the next slide. So in general, Teams and global admin can see all teams, all private channel, all the descriptions, all the stuff of the entire tenant. The owner can, of course, only see of their team, and the team member can, of course, only see the private channel where he or she is really a member of. but nothing else. So therefore, this is really secured. This is about what we can see. Now, what we can do, and this is this little asterisk for the global admin. A global admin can always put themselves into these private channels. So they can add and remove members, they can create new private channels or delete them across the entire tenant. And you may say, oh, this is what we don't want, that global admins look inside. But wait, global admins should be only 1, 2, 3 people maximum with this permission. Doesn't matter how big the company is, with special NDA. And what is their role? They have to manage this tenant. So they are responsible for that. How can they manage this when they don't touch it, when they're not allowed to touch it? So in this case, if there is a need there to intervene into these private channels, they always stay in control and have the right for that. Team owners, and of course, only for their teams, they can check what's going on there and lead this. And then if you're a channel owner, then of course you can also do all the stuff, but only for your channel, of course. I will show you this also in the live demo just in a minute. But before we come to this, also the last one, to the governance, you can manage all of this with PowerShell, of course. Just make sure that you have version 1.0.18 at minimum, because this version was providing updated commandlets to have a special membership type for a private channel, and also to add team channel users, because yeah, we can now assign permissions per channel. All right, then we go into the demo here. Let's log in again. It's going to load, and I would like to start with the admin center, so really top down as a global or Teams admin. And first of all, on the left-hand side, you can go to Teams policies, and usually you have one default policy, which is really for the entire organization. And in here, you just go on edit and say, hey, please switch it off. I don't want to use private channels for now, not for everybody. So therefore, easy, switch it off. When you then decided, okay, I now have some specific users who should be allowed to create private channels, then just create a new policy. And in here, I created one already where this is switched on, easy. And then you can go ahead, select this new policy, and then manage users. And here you can then assign the users that are regarding permission. So of course, my demo assistant needs this permission. So therefore, I assign this now, and then you are done. Of course, you can also assign this to entire groups. Second, what we can see as global administrators, here we can see all the teams that I have in my my tenant, and I select now event planning here, for example. And here I have the tab channels. Yeah. And okay, and here I can see all the channels, also the private ones. There's one, there's also marketing one, and even there I can say edit this channel or delete this channel. I can add new channels from here directly, or I can also see who's now member and owner of this private channel. Yeah, it's Eddie and myself in this case, for demo reasons, of course. And I can now make myself an owner if I want. I can add new people, or I can remove myself here again. So really, as a global admin, I 100% stay in control with private channels. Now let's go one level down to the organizers here. So for event planning, I'm an owner of this event planning team in this case. And I see there's no budget planning, because this is a channel which is private and I can't see. So nobody else who's not member of this channel can't see it. But as I said, for the owner, I can. So I manage this team. And also here I have the tab channels. And here I can see budget planning. So I know there is a private channel, and I can even see, okay, who's then the channel owner? Oh, it's Eddie, what a surprise. And in this case, I can then contact her. Hey, Eddie, you know, our company policy is like every team's owner must be at least a member of the private channel so that they can take care of this. So please add me. This could be a case, for example. And if Eddie is not responding, for example, because she's on PDO or organizing a SharePoint Saturday, then of course I can reach out to my global administrator and ask him to add me, or I can be rude and just delete this private channel if I want. You shouldn't do this. But an important note to mark here is like when you delete a private channel, it will also delete the site collection underneath, of course. If you restore a private channel, it will restore the regarding site collection. If you only delete the site collection because you're a SharePoint guy, but not from Teams, only only the site collection, then Teams will again say, hey, there was something happening outside of my scope here. So and Teams will automatically restore the site collection because it was not triggered from Teams. Important to know. Also, what the team owner can do in the settings, member permissions, there we have here the second one. Here, this is what you can disable so that members of your team can't create a private channel. Easy, so you can really stay in control of all the stuff. And then last, let's go to PowerShell. So, I searched for some teams already here. And I would like to take this command. So first of all, I need the group ID for event planning here. This is the one that I just copied into another commandlet here. So I would like to read out now all the channels of a team. And here you can see the new membership type. This is a new switch. And they say, hey, please only list these channels which are private. And when I execute this commandlet, then I see, oh yeah, it's marketing and budget planning, so I can see this. And with this PowerShell commandlets, you can do anything that you want. I also found while writing a script, I found an even better one. Which can do this for you for the entire tenant, for all teams, for all channels, which is really great. And it can do even much, much more. So what you can see here, this script can have 10 different activities. So even this enable this policy, make it on or off, you have this here. I now just typed 9 because I want to search for all members and all owners of all private channels across the team. This now takes a few seconds, maybe a minute, but to save some time, I prepared the output already. The output is a CSV file. And here we can see now all private channels in my entire tenant. And in Excel, we can use this great filter capabilities. So where's my event planning? Here we go. And here, as we just were able to see, we had this marketing channel where Eddie and myself are members. She's the owner, I'm just a member. And for the budget planning, only Eddie is a ruler of everything. And really great script to use it for you to really stay in control what's going on and run it once a week and then use a compare function of Excel. So what has changed since the last time, for example, this is so far a really great workaround to really find out about all the private channels in your tenant. All right, cool stuff. Now, end of the section, you know what will come. Yay, Robert, there's another question to answer. Get out your mobile again. Click on reload. No, come on. No. got it? Okay, as a tenant admin, you always stay in control of private channels, yes or no? Don't disappoint me, guys. Of course, you always stay in control, so the majority did it right. Great. Thank you for that. And this, yeah, will bring us to the last section. So about the rollout of private channels. Just one slide, because it's just 4 steps, as easy as 4 steps. First of all, read the manual. So really make yourself familiar what is a new feature, not only private channels in general, but in this case, private channels. What can private channels do for you? What controls do we have? How's the architecture and all the stuff? So for all you guys joined my session, check it. You know really actually everything about private channels. Therefore, you really know what you can do and what control you have. And then second, and as I said, for me, the most important thing, do you really have a use case for that? If you don't have a use case, then don't use it. But if you have one, then you will understand it's a great feature. And now I would like to share these use cases with you. Okay, I go back into my team, this one. And let me start with this one, for example. So a friend of mine, we had a little startup to create some products. And of course, we as the founders have a leadership team where we just discuss about our stuff. Then we have a designer who's designing these products and packaging for us in his own channel, collaborating with us, and also the production guys who produce this. Sometimes you share something for all of them, what's the current status, but for certain points, we only want to share some information with the designer. Sometimes we only want to share this information with the production guys in this case. So therefore, we keep it as one project. This is one FlexRG project. We don't want to have new teams for that. And therefore, we created it this way. Very similar is multi-project management. So if you have a very big project with some sub-projects or with some sub-providers like partner 1, partner 2, and so on, then you can also update about the general process, updates, and so on, only once for all of them. Don't have to send several emails, for example, but you stay private for each sub-project or with each provider, with each partner, within each of these channels. So this is also very useful so that you don't have to, so in this case, with just 3 providers, it would mean I have 4 teams already. So the general team and then 4 extra teams. I now have just 1 team and only private channels where I discuss with each partner, for example. And then let's go back to school. So very easy. This is a class 7A. So we have the separation of English, mathematics, physics. Makes sense. So clear communication boundary. But the teachers need their own area where they discuss, oh, this pupil was so rude again, and we need to find a solution with him anyhow, and so on. These are information you don't share with the entire class, of course, and just discuss outside of the scope within a private chat on a totally different team. No, this is something for this class. So why not staying in this class? Stay focused on this stuff. And this saves time to not jumping back and forth because you only stay in your team just switching to the security boundary to this private channel. And when we talk about school and teachers, there's no difference to a normal department in our company. So even there, if you have a bigger team with more than 1 manager, even here, it's useful to have then one management area, as I shared at the beginning slide, where these managers can exchange some thoughts and strategy, whatever, which is not yet ready for the entire group, for the entire department. Right, and we already used event planning. Even here, Maybe marketing was not the right to make it private, but budget planning, we can remember. This was a private channel, and even I cannot see it here because it makes sense. Event planning is clearly separation of different topics. So here we see this difference of this channel. So attendee management, location planning, marketing for that, or catering. These are totally separate topics, which makes sense to have an own channel for them to know, okay, in this channel now everything was catering. But there are always information which should not be shared with everybody because maybe external parties are also working on in this team, or we have some students or some internees. They should not see how much money we actually spend. So therefore, this budget planning and all around this should be private. Only a few people, only a subset of people should see what kind of budget we plan for this event. Last example, if you have used already an adoption team, I can highly recommend it. There, for example, is a champions network, a nice way to use a private channel. Because not only for rolling out teams, you may heard about that Microsoft is rolling also some new features month over month. So you can use this and continue to maintain your champions networks or ambassadors or power user or whatever name they have to first discuss, hey, there's a new feature coming from Microsoft. Is this useful for us? How should we communicate this to the entire company? What processes would we like to optimize with these new features? This is something should be discussed first with the executive board, or in this case, even better, with these champions in a private channel, and then you can bring it to the communication channel, for example, where everybody can then see it. Oh, okay, this is now coming. Okay, thank you. This is also a nice way to keep this all focused into one team, because it's all about adoption, rolling out, and stuff like this. And there you can also then have a private channel to have some sneak preview discussions for new features. All right, so far a couple of use cases. There may be even more. Now let's finish here our presentation. So if you have a use case, hopefully there was something useful for you. Then of course, step 3, configure your policies. Make sure what are the policies. Only a few people should get this right to create private channels. Or what I said, if a team owner is not a member of a private channel, it should become at least a member so that he or she is able to manage this. These could be policy suggestions. Think about you, what is sufficient for your use case, but then, yeah, make clear what you have. And then 4th, if you have all this in place, deliver those guys who will be allowed to create private channels in training, and then ship it. All right, so we have then, of course, also, you get all these slides, of course, from the organizers. One note, the very last link is a link to the script that I showed you, but you can find, of course, a couple of other sessions about private channels. And then let me summarize before we finish our quiz. So first of all, we understood now why private channels is such a big thing, more than 25,000 user voice votes. And why, for example, private chats are not sufficient. Second, it's super transparent. So we stay focused. We see on this team that it belongs to, we see on the site collection of a private channel, it belongs to a team and all belongs together. So it's really transparent. It's not shifting away to private channels or private chats or to another team. No, it's great that we really go hand in hand. Third, we were also able to see what governance controls we have to really stay top of mind and really control what's going on. And with all this, I recommended a rollout plan where, yeah, we saw some use cases. And now, last question. So take out your mobile again. And we switch to the last question. So click on reload and we go to the last question. What is most important before using private channels? Deeply understand the functionality, have a valid use case, apply governance policies, or train all end users about this functionality. All right. Okay, everything is right in this case. My opinion was, as I said in this session, you need to have a use case, and only then you should go ahead and use private channels, really. That you should know it, of course, you're right. But in this case, I was aiming for the second one. So let's see who is now the winner chicken dinner. And Bartosz, congrats. So yeah, we have now, so Piotr is the second, Marco, Piotr is the third. So I would like to share this now. Bigger camera. So third place, Kinder Surprise. Awesome, isn't it? For the second place, and come to Warsaw on September the 12th to really get this. Another Kinder Surprise for the second, but now for the first one, you won't believe it. A really big Kinder Surprise. Isn't it awesome? So, Bartosz, you will get this when we see us in September in Warsaw. Now let's finish our session. So please rate the entire conference, provide us feedback. It's not only the organizers, of course, also myself. This is now the QR code you see on the top right-hand side. Please rate the conference. It's so great to be here with all you together virtually. So this is a 5-star, it's clear. Also feel free to rate my session. Please rate my session, not my polish. And then, yeah, I'm happy to hear from you. Let's stay connected. Have a great rest of this conference. And yeah, wiki dzięki, miłego dnia.